All right, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Do Hard Things Nation Weekly Wake Up. How you doing, Tom?
Doing fantastic. How are you doing, Jay?
I'm doing well. Hey, real quick, before we get into this week's topic, I just wanted to say that this episode is brought to you by The Forge. The Forge is a powerful, goal-crushing mastermind where we focus on getting things accomplished, focus, fortitude, and grit. So if you're ready to level up, you want to join a community of like-minded people getting after it, reach out to me. We'll get you scored away. I'll tell you all about The Forge and what we do there. But you're ready to level up. Let's get it. So without that, awesome new shirt today. Courage over fear. When Lacey handed it to me a minute, I was like looking, I was like, courage, fear. What's going on? Oh, courage over fear. You got to dominate that fear. So that's what we want to talk about today is courage and how to overcome fear. Like, what is fear? Because most fear is bullshit. And if we can identify, like, I think fear gets way too much play in our society, and it's way overplayed. And people have created these neural pathways that's debilitating them, that's keeping them from achieving their best self because of these bullshit stories they're telling themselves. And we've got to be able to overcome that. And courage is basically facing that fear, punching fear in the face, and taking action anyway. So I don't know. What do you think about the topic of courage and fear, Tom?
Oh man, you're totally right. You know, what's the acronym for fear? False evidence appearing real. We've heard that. It's a cliche nowadays, but it's so true, right?
Yeah, absolutely. False evidence appearing real. I love that, because outside of like physical harm of someone doing bodily harm to you or being in a situation that could cause harm, like, what are the things that we fear? Judgments. We fear opinions of other people. We fear that we may not, if we take the action, we may not get it. If we ask for the raise, we may not get it. So we don't ask. And what's the worst that could possibly happen? No, we failed to ask her out on a date, because of rejection. We failed to do something because they might make fun of us. Mm-hmm. It's silly. If you think about it.
Well, here's the thing. There's people out there who, when they encounter something very real, an illness, a challenge, they're actually very resilient, and they do their best and do a good job with dealing with the crisis. Mm-hmm. Like I do have faith in people to be able to deal with real problems, but this whole thing about fear in your mind and not doing something because of your fear is actually pretty debilitating. So like you said, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of disappointing others. Those kind of things they shouldn't be such a big deal. But Jay, why are they? Why are they for some people?
I think that we've created these neural pathways. We live in this culture in society where, fear has become, it's basic. What it is, it's mismanagement of your psychological discipline and mismanagement of your mindset is what it is. If you want to boil it down to calling it what it is, it's mismanagement of your mindset.
Yeah.
And it's something that I have overcome, and I still find where I have to identify it and really boil it down and dissect what it is, because it's been so ingrained in our culture and society for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I mean, the fear that we have this biological disposition from, running from saber-toothed tigers, but now we're equating it with things that aren't, we have some physical fears, but it's really diminished. Most of our fears in our society now is just that. It's fear of opinions of other people. It's anxiety of worry of, if I do this, how I'm gonna automatically catastrophize to the worst case scenario. I'm gonna be homeless under a bridge if I go out and start that business venture. When if you really boil it down, like, what's really the worst case? We can overcome nearly any worst case scenario.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. It's if you really boil it down on what it is, and it's become an epidemic in our society. It's holding so many people back, and it's keeping people from living their best life.
Well, let's talk about some examples. Let's talk about the one of the biggest ones: fear of being rejected.
Yeah,
fear of being rejected or judged. Let's get an example, Jay. Let's say before you met Lacey, you're going to ask her out on a date. Was it easy for you? Did you fear rejection, or did you already do enough that you knew that you were going to get a good response?
Well, I mean, I feared the rejection. I remember the when I went to go meet her, there was something unique about our conversations, But
Mhm.
I was, nervous going out on the date. She invited me to a place that I typically don't go. It's this place called Backwater Jack. It's like a pool party, a lot of people. I'm like, this isn't my kind of place. And so I was kind of like, this would be interesting. Is this something that she wants to do all the time? Because all of our other conversations, great. She has all these great, amazing hobbies and things. I'm like, but this is the one thing. Like, I don't know about this. Is this the lifestyle? But I was curious enough to go meet her. And yes, I was worried. What if I got there and she didn't like how I looked, or maybe I
Yeah.
carried myself in a weird way? Because I am
Yeah.
kind of an awkward person sometimes. What if, but you know what? I gotta face my fear. I gotta go to this place that I felt kind of uncomfortable. I'm not the one to run around the pool, drinking beer and just hanging out all day. That's just not me. It's just not me at all.
Right.
And so I had to face that, like, okay, I'm going to be in this scenario, meeting her for the first time. How is this going to go?
Right. So the potential rejection is Lacey's going to say at the end of the date, she's going to give you the handshake. It was nice knowing you. Like, thanks, buddy. And then that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And you're rejected and it's over with. But Jay, could you have handled that? Was it that big of a deal if she wasn't interested?
I
Not
could.
really.
I mean, I could have handled it. And you know what? The thing is, I almost didn't go. I really contemplated, do I want to go to this place or not? Because it was out of my comfort zone so much.
Yeah.
And I had to drive like over an hour to go. Like, there were resistances there, right? Like, but you know what?
Fear I might not fit in.
Fear I might not fit in. Fear I'm going to get rejected, because rejection doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to get rejected, right?
Yep. Yep.
Lacey's like, I'm glad you went.
No kidding.
Me too. Okay, so me too.
What's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is you guys didn't click and you move on your merry way, and that's it. Yeah. And that's another person out of your life that you never have to worry about again, and never ever wonder what if.
Yeah.
And it's done. It's great. And then you learn something from the outcome. You know what? Maybe she's not my kind of person.
Yeah.
I don't really like doing those kind of activities. Maybe it was for the better. Right. And then you can move forward strongly. I need to find somebody different, or the major payoff is you end up being together with her for life.
Yeah.
You got to weigh the pros and cons. And to me, it's the rejection deal. Like, obviously you thought enough of the situation to say, no, I'm going for this, because the potential reward is too big. And that was the end of it. That was it.
Yeah.
Worst that can happen.
We talked about this a lot, about getting up to the plate and swinging singles. And every now and then you're going to hit a home run. And I definitely hit a home run by getting up to the plate. But I could have just sat in the dugout, right? I could have just not showed up at all. But by getting up and swinging that single in that scenario, I got a home run. But I had to face my fear in doing that. Because if you fear striking out, or if you fear of not making it, like, you're never going to get anywhere in life. You're going to be just kind of stuck.
Anywhere in life. No,
and just to me, that's so ultimately we've got to dismantle this notion of fear, and if we're going to live to our highest potential and optimize, things in our life.
Yeah, and part of that is saying, you know what, no one can judge me. No one can judge me, and these critics out there, they don't matter, because they really don't care.
Yeah.
Right, Jay. Let's look at the Forge group, for example. All right. I want to get you to be a part of the Forge group because I love the program. The program's really good, and you'd be a great fit for it. I could see you really growing big time. Now, I can either fear your rejection of saying, no, you know what, I don't want to join the Forge. Or I can say something as simple as this. Hey, Jay, you know what? I've got this group. It's called The Forge, and we're taking people to the next level. A guy like you is a real go-getter. Hey, listen, would you be interested in maybe checking it out, popping in on Wednesday night for our open call? No cost to you. And if you're not interested, no big deal. What would you say?
I would say yes, but the fear would be walking into something unknown, right? I'm walking into a group of people that I don't know. And that's usually what holds people back, right? Is the unknown of something, right?
Now check this out, Jay. for me to just tell you that, obviously I tell you that because I've got a good relationship with you, but for me to offer something, an offering that I think is very special and very significant to somebody I respect, and give you an open-ended thing. Hey, come on out. It's an open call. It's a free call. Come on out. And if it's for you, great. If it's not, no big deal. From my standpoint, you say no, it's like, next, who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. I'm so worried about your opinion that I didn't even realize that you had the same fear of rejection, that maybe I'm not going to fit in. But I thought, hey, wait a second. If he says no, he's rejecting me. But if I understood the full picture, I'd say, I didn't realize he was that shy about things.
Oh, yeah.
And I wouldn't feel as bad. But people have this worst case scenario of, I'm going to get rejected. I'm not good enough. My program's not good enough. My product is not good enough. And then they just stay silent and they don't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, they're taking too much of it personal.
Yeah. Big time.
Taking way too much of it personal. And it's got nothing to do with you. I was actually, that's interesting. I was watching, you ever watch, I love watching Gordon Ramsay, and there's this show called The Kitchen Nightmares where he goes into the restaurants and he helps, and there's this one episode in particular that got a lot of national traction. It was the ABC episode where it was like one of the only ones where he came in and he had to basically leave because he just couldn't help the owners. Usually there's some friction. He'll call out, but he walked in. He's like, this is a beautiful kitchen. This is an amazing cake. He's like, this is weird. Because every time he walks in, it's usually like spitting out the food. It's like the kitchen
all right,
unorganized, but it's like everything is beautiful. But then he waited for the service, and it was like the cook and the owner, they couldn't handle the rejection. So the cook was back there, the wife was cooking, her husband was managing, the front end, and when people would reject the food, he wouldn't take it to her to tell the chef, because usually you need to tell the chef that, hey, there's something wrong here. He would just pile it up or throw it in the bin because she couldn't handle the rejection. He wanted to avoid that altogether. And so there's this perpetual cycle of like, the food was bad, people didn't come in. And then he was trying to, Gordon Ramsay was trying to tell them that, look, your food is not good, but she just could not accept it. She could not handle the rejection. She couldn't deal with that. And ultimately, like, he left. All that to say that taking it way too personal, taking things way too personal sunk their business. And being able to detach from that. And
big time.
Yeah. And so the fear of facing reality, you've got to face reality. You've got to accept criticism. You've got to, that was a classic example of having a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. And that's what we're here to do, is try to develop and perpetuate a growth mindset. So you can overcome fear with courage and taking deliberate action. And like you said, a lot of it's bullshit. Would you say that it was? You broke down fear? I love that, but I forgot how you said it.
It's false evidence appearing real.
I gotta write that down. I've heard that before, but I never. False evidence appearing real. I love it.
I remember one of my biggest fears when I was younger. I was like, "Am I going to pass my driving test?"
Yeah.
I am so terrified that I'm going to fail it and not be able to drive that. Guess what ended up happening, Jay? I failed the test. I failed it. I was so fearful of making a mistake that things didn't, the wrong car came. The instructor was a bit of a jerk and I was nervous. I guess he didn't like me and I messed up. I did something wrong, fail, right? But because I was so nervous, I ended up failing. Afterwards, it's like, okay, I'm going to have to wait a little bit and rebook the test. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah. But I built it up in my mind to be something huge. I talked to a friend who's a salesman, and he says, I'll contact 100 people. And I said, how do you feel? Do you ever get nervous of rejection? He goes, no, not at all. I don't like when people don't reply because I want to know where they stand. They're a yes or a no. I can deal with the no's. But the moment I get one yes out of 100, I'm pumped up again. I'm ready for my next 100 calls. Because he's focusing on the right thing. He's got the right perspective. It's the reward. The reward is worth it. And you've just got to accept that you're going to get 99 no's. That's the number. Can people handle that? Baseball, what's a good hitter? A good hitter is usually a failure. They're not going to hit above 500. Like you're looking at 300 is a good batting average. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're going to
7 out of 10, you're going to mess up with.
Yeah.
But you're considered a success.
I like that you said, look, when you look at the fear, it reminds me of like riding a motorcycle or a mountain bike, or any kind of, I guess it works in your car too. When you're mountain biking and you're on a trail and you see like a root or a stump, because you're up, down, you're like come over obstacles. But if you see something that that you're going to hit and it would knock you off your mountain bike, if you stare at it, you're going to run right into it. So you got to train yourself to look away, look beyond that potential fear. And that's hard to do because it's like, oh shit, I see this thing coming. But if you look at it, you're going to plow right into it. You got to look beyond it. So they teach you that in motorcycle riding. It's the same in your car. You got to look above and beyond. So look past the fear. And when you're describing that, that's what I was thinking about. It's like,
oh yeah. Oh, and there's another fear too, that it's the fear of losing hope. That's actually pretty significant. Let me explain what I mean. I think you already know. It's kind of like I've got this new business venture and I want to launch it, but I'm constantly on aim. I never fire, because the moment I fire and just start advertising and start making things happen and the business fails, then what? So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep creating and work on my craft, because one day this is really going to work. The moment it fails, I've lost hope, and then I'm done. When in fact, what people should be saying is, if the business doesn't go as planned, correct course.
Yeah.
And see if you can make some changes. It's not the end of the world. You need to get that feedback to make those proper course corrections. So sometimes you just got to say, all right, let me brace myself for the worst. Let me look at the best case scenario, the worst case scenario. Can I handle the worst case scenario? Good. All right. Who do I need to become to pursue this? Okay, good. Now let's just go for it.
Who do I need to become? Who do I need to become?
Big time.
Who do I need to ask for help? What resources could I leverage?
Yeah. Jay, people are afraid to post on social media because they're worried about if somebody's going to like the post or not. And they're terrified to even post on social media. I don't look good enough. My friends are going to judge me. They're going to reject me. Like, this is what we've become. Yeah. And that's pretty scary. Even my daughter, gorgeous girl, intelligent, funny, smart, industrious. And she goes, I'm a little bit afraid of social media because people are going to comment on things. I said, Andrea, so what? Who cares? It doesn't matter. If they don't like your post, they don't like your post. No big deal.
So one of the strategies that I want to have people consider, if you want to develop more courage and overcome fear, you think about, why do police officers run toward gunfire? How do firefighters, when people are running away, they're running in. I think about like 9/11, right? I think about like all the video footage of all the people running away, but then you got these, the small percentage that are running in. How do these people overcome fear? How does the soldier run into the firefight? How, the nurses and the doctors, the ambulance rolls up and they're running toward, this what is that about? How do we overcome that fear? And it's because in these professions, what they have done is they have tied themselves beyond, the current situation, that they are there to serve at a greater capacity. That what I'm doing is just bigger than me or this specific scenario. Mm-hmm. And whether you're in business, it's believing that your product or your company or organization is doing something bigger, that you're providing service or something greater to the greater good. That enables you to overcome the obstacles and the bullshit fear that you face on the day-to-day basis. And so what most people are doing is they're riding their mountain bike and they're looking at the fear, they're looking at the obstacle in the path. What they need to do is figure out like, hey, I'm a mountain biker and that this is part of the journey, that this is part of something bigger. There's going to be numerous obstacles, but the outcome and the payoff is much bigger. And that's really, it's a lack of managing our mindset. And it ties back into, what are you called to do? And that's got to be greater than your bullshit fears that that's holding you back. And I'm going to ask you to raise your ambition about who you are as a person and what you do, and rise above the fear. Because when you can connect with that, when you can connect with your greater purpose, it's beyond your bullshit fears.
Yeah, I agree.
And you can live at your highest level. And that's what these professions do. So whatever it is that you do, if you're not in one of those professions, or if you have worked in one of those professions and you're doing something new now and you're facing fear, connect the dots on this. It's got to be a greater purpose, something beyond, the fear. Yeah, I'm not saying that's easy to do, but have some introspection and think about that, because we got to create the new neural pathways, because that's what's happened here. We have, and I think with social media, like you said, I think all that is perpetuating and continuing to train us to live in fear. And now look at the society and what we live in now. Like, would you say it's going well? I don't know. I don't. It doesn't feel good to me.
No, not at all.
Which is why we're here. It's why the Do Hard Things Nation is here. That's part of our why and our mission, is to help people overcome fear, develop courage, and to step into the role model to be the better partner, to be the better parent, to step up and take courage to step into those leadership roles that our country desperately needs right now, because we're fucked right now.
Yeah.
So,
one of the biggest fears people have is fear of rejection, because they fear that they're not enough.
Yeah.
That they're not enough. And, they might not be able to fulfill the role. They might be judged, whatever the situation may be. What do you say to that person?
That they're not enough.
I'm not enough. I'm not going to apply to be the actor in the next Batman movie because I'm not Christian Bale. I am just not good enough.
Yeah. I'm gonna encourage them that, one, that everyone is unique, which is a superpower in itself. And that Christian Bale didn't just magically walk in. He didn't grow up in Hollywood and just magically, become a superstar without walking the path. Anything worth a damn is going to require you to walk the path of whatever that is. So you're good enough. So practicing gratitude, getting some self-confidence in self, and like, how can you learn to become, because Christian Bale's world-class. So that's another strategy that I have written down here is, are you merely surviving or are you thriving? And in order to thrive, what can you become world-class or exceptionally good at?
Yeah.
Because Christian Bale, I'm assuming, I without knowing a lot about him, I'm assuming he probably took acting classes and just trained and developed and became world-class at this thing. He worked at it.
Yeah.
And that's what, and I don't care who you are in whatever profession, that's what it's going to take, right? And so maybe you're not happy with where you're currently at, but are you going to just merely survive and accept that? Or are you going to flip the script and like, okay, what is the path to get there? What is it going to take? Who are you connecting with? How are you learning? What are you specifically doing? How can you get into the arena? Maybe it's, hey, there's the local play they're looking for. They're having, I don't know, Peter Pan. I see down in my small town, they got a little play. They have a play like once a month or so. Did you go audition? Have you taken a class? Like, what are you doing? And dissecting that. And then, okay, let's get into the arena, right? And then you develop the skill.
Exactly. And by the way, the latest Batman, I wasn't too keen on the guy who played the role. I didn't think he was the prototypical Batman, but I still watched. I thought he did a decent job. Yeah. He's got to own it, right? Here's what I know about people, Jay, is like, I'll walk into a potential situation and I'm going to look at myself and say, hey, am I enough? In various categories. But I do know there's some intangibles like I'm consistent. I'm loyal. I work hard. I have a good perspective. I know what people want and I can meet those needs. And sometimes it's those intangibles where you say, those are the traits that companies are looking for, right? I would hire somebody who's loyal, consistent, and industrious and people person over somebody who's a superstar communicator any day, because I know that person's going to stick around and they're going to be willing to learn. They're going to have a growth mindset. So don't sell yourself short. You can develop these traits. You might already have these traits, but people just can't sell themselves short. Look at your strengths.
Yeah. You got to begin to believe in yourself, and you've got to, it all boils down to, do you have a growth mindset? Do you feel that you can develop skills? Are you willing to get outside of yourself and ask for help and coaching and getting around the right people? A lot of times people are kind of stuck in fear because they're around a bunch of people that constantly judge them.
Yeah.
And then you feed into that, you buy into that. You're taking the opinions, and a lot of times you ask these people like, well, who's around you offering you judgment? Okay. So just by virtue of how they know you, this relationship, let's analyze their life. What have they accomplished? And where do they come from with that judgment? Like what is the logic behind that judgment? Well, usually it's bullshit too. It's like,
always.
It doesn't come from a position of experience. Oftentimes it comes from a position of their fears and their biases and their values and things like that. And it's got nothing to do with you. So, and hence, this is why it's so powerful to be around a community of like-minded, growth-minded people, so you can get some space, because most people, a majority of people, are operating in fear. And they're, you see it in social media, just all the bullshit comments, just blah, opinions, blah, blah, blah. And if you live in that, then, you're going to be like, but if you're around like people that are encouraging you, you got a coach and a mentor, you got, a tribe of people you can lean in on that are walking the same path as you. That's why masterminds are so incredibly powerful.
Oh yeah.
Because
Jay,
of the community.
We got a community here where, we'll meet somebody new. We'll meet a fellow Canadian or fellow American, whatever, and become friends with them or go out for dinner with them. And I don't say this to my wife. I don't say, that person doesn't look like they have a growth mindset. But I do know if that person's going to build me up and I feel good around that person, or if I don't feel good around that person, and I'll say to my wife privately, I'll say, they're disqualified. I could care less if I'm rejected. I don't need to be around that person, because we're not going to become better people around those people.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So that relationship is over, DQ, and that's it. And if I see them down the street, they feel rejected, I don't really care. I'm not going to be rude about it. I think you do got to level up. And that's the whole community thing that you were talking about. Level up with your community. Be around people who encourage you, because we need people like that in our lives.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean you have to be a jerk to somebody.
Of course not.
It doesn't mean you have to be an ass to them. It just means that you're kind, but you're aware of, is this person going to add value to my life, or how will they contribute to me and my success? And sometimes you got to give. You only have so much bandwidth. You only have so much room for. And I'm telling you, if you don't guard the people that are around you and your mindset, you don't protect that. Once again, this notion of fear is because of mismanagement of mindset. Well, if you're around people that have a negative mindset all the time, that's going to wear on you. That's going to wear on you for sure. And then you don't make optimal decisions. And that's good stuff. Now, when you moved to Costa Rica, what kind of fear did you face? A lot of fear making that big move, like leaving your home country of Canada, moving to Costa Rica?
No, I was informed. Life's a daring, bold adventure. It comes down to mindset, attitude, right? Yeah. Let's tackle this. We can handle this.
Yeah.
No fear. Let's go.
We can handle it. Let's do it.
That's it, right? Well, we can handle anything that comes our way. We've got this.
Yeah.
That's it.
Courage. Well, I want to talk about, I want to spotlight someone this week that has had a remarkable transformation. Is currently facing some fear and unknown right now, and it has courage. And this is Chris Pandolfo. Now, I met Chris through Team Beachbody. He's on my team, and he was in 2019. He went on this journey to lose 168 pounds. He's from I think he grew up in Manchester, United Kingdom, so he's across the pond. Happy Independence Day, brother. But happy Treason Day. But no, he went on this journey, lost 168 pounds, became the 2019 Beachbody winner, won $100,000. He's up there on stage, and has become a Beachbody coach where he helps motivate and inspire other people to make transformational change. Now, he had a significant health scare this week. He was in the hospital for a few days. I saw a video of his wife, and it was scary. Like, I didn't know if he was going to come out of there. That's how scary it was. And they're still trying to figure out what's going on. But even from his bedside on his Facebook, motivational posts, one after another. And he's just constantly helping people overcome their fear. I like that. Don't copy and paste fear on the right-hand side there. He's facing some uncertainty right now, but he's doing it with remarkable grace. He's leaning into it. And although there's some uncertainty with the outcome, he's still, slogging ahead, motivating and inspiring people. And Chris is remarkable. His wife, Haley, she stepped out and it was talking about Chris and how he was doing, and just appreciate both of them for what they do and encouraging other people to live a better life. And so Chris is constantly doing hard things, and we want to send you a shirt, brother. So we're going to send you a shirt all the way from the U.S. to the United Kingdom where you're at. Great job on your journey, and thank you for sharing with us. And thanks for punching fear. And we just wish you all the best in your healing. And hopefully you can figure out what's going on and continue to motivate and inspire others. So
yeah, we need you in this world, Chris. We need you to recover quickly. Guys like you are an inspiration. Looks fantastic, brother. By the way.
Yeah, brother. We need people like Chris stepping up. Absolutely. That's what we need. That's what this world needs. I mean, just golly, look at the news. It's just like, what the hell's going on? We need people stepping up. And so, Chris, we appreciate you. So yeah, we'll send him a shirt. So what else? Is there anything else you want to talk about as far as fear, courage?
Yeah. I just want to know who's willing to step up and be bold about it and just say, hey, I'm willing. I'm in. Do something great. Do something hard. Let us know. Let us know. Get us on your team.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're trying to grow the tribe and expand. We want to create a tribe and culture. That's what the Do Hard Things Nation is all about. Punching fear in the face. Fortitude, grit, courage to live your optimal life and step into the role models that the world desperately needs right now. So
yeah, big time.
But that's all I got for this week, man. Any other final thoughts?
I think you nailed it. Courage over fear, man.
Yeah. Well, for those out there, this is the day after 4th of July, and just wherever you're at. I know there's a lot of unknowns right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling all these negative emotions, just encourage you to connect. There's so many different ways to connect with people out there. The Do Hard Things Nation is one of them. And I encourage people to get involved in the Facebook group. We do have the Forge. If you want one-on-one mentorship with myself or Tom, reach out to us directly. If you want one of these awesome, badass shirts to remind yourself, because every time I wear these shirts out, I'm getting comments like, this is just I look at myself in the mirror and I have doubt, I have uncertainty, but having my tribe of people that I can log in and message, because the Forge group is like constantly messaging. I got Lacey in my corner. I got you, Tom. I see you guys. I can't, it's just a constant reminder to overcome my bullshit. And it's hard to overcome the neural pathways that we've created with this. So to try to walk this path alone and overcome that, you're by yourself. Yet you can do that, but that's a harder way of living. And so get connected with other like-minded people. And that's what the Do Hard Things Nation is all about. So go to dohardthingsnation.com. You can check out the events. We got an event September 10th, our first event. We got the Forge. We got awesome apparel. And that's about it. We'll see you guys. See you guys next week.
Cheers.
Tom, we'll see you Wednesday.
Yep. See you.
All right, man. See ya. Do hard things.